Did you know that some roads are so dangerous, one wrong move can send you over a cliff, into raging water, or deep into the wilderness? Imagine driving along a cliff with no guardrail, crossing a road swallowed by the ocean, or navigating endless hairpin turns above terrifying drops. These impossible routes challenge both machines and human courage. Get ready to discover the world's most impossible roads and the dangers hiding around every turn. Abano Pass Road, Georgia. To reach one of Georgia's most remote mountain regions by road, you first have to survive a journey that already feels like an adventure. The road over Abano Pass climbs toward Tusheti through the Caucasus Mountains, reaching roughly 3,000 meters above sea level. After the paved section ends, the route becomes a dirt road filled with steep climbs, sharp bends, narrow sections, and dramatic mountain exposure. Georgia's official tourism site describes the drive from Psheveli toward Omalo as a difficult journey best suited to a high-clearance SUV. Snow makes the road inaccessible for much of the year, leaving Tusheti connected by road mainly during the warmer months. Even then, mountain weather can change quickly. But that difficulty is part of what makes arriving in Tusheti feel extraordinary. Abano Pass is not simply the road to the destination. It is the first test travelers must pass before the remote villages of the Caucasus finally appear. Fairy Meadows Road, Pakistan. Do not let the name Fairy Meadows fool you. The destination may sound peaceful, but the road leading toward it is anything but gentle. Located in northern Pakistan, near the spectacular Nanga Parbat region, Fairy Meadows Road follows a narrow mountain track above steep valleys. Much of the route consists of rough gravel with tight corners and little separating a vehicle from the drop beside it. The higher you travel, the more uncomfortable the road becomes. Loose surfaces reduce traction. Passing space can be extremely limited, and there are sections where guardrails simply do not exist. One poorly judged turn can leave a driver with nowhere to recover. even experienced travelers typically rely on local drivers familiar with the terrain, and eventually the road becomes so narrow that vehicles can go no farther. That is the strange contradiction of Fairy Meadows. One of Pakistan's most beautiful destinations begins with a journey capable of making you question whether reaching paradise is worth the drive. Bayburt 2 of Road D915, Turkey. From above, Turkey's D915 looks less like a highway and more like someone repeatedly folded a road across the side of a mountain. Running through the rugged landscape between Bayburt and off, the route is famous for a dramatic series of hairpin turns that climb steep slopes with very little room for error. Some sections are unpaved, narrow, and exposed, with steep drops appearing immediately beside the roadway. Then, the weather joins the challenge. Fog can hide the next bend, rain can weaken the surface, and snow can transform the mountains into an entirely different obstacle. On the tightest switchbacks, larger vehicles may need almost the entire width of the road just to complete a turn. Seen from a drone, the road is mesmerizing. A ribbon twisting back and forth across enormous mountains, break time. 3.0s. Seen from behind a steering wheel, however, those beautiful curves become something else entirely. Every hairpin is another reminder that there may be very little room for a second chance. Atlantic Ocean Road, Norway. At first glance, Norway's Atlantic Ocean Road seems far too beautiful to belong in a video about dangerous driving. That illusion can disappear the moment the weather changes. The road leaps between small islands along Norway's coast through a chain of bridges, including the famous Stormbattered Bridge, whose curved approach can make it appear as though the roadway simply ends in the sky. On a calm day, the route offers spectacular views of the Norwegian Sea. During powerful storms, however, waves can crash across the road and surround vehicles with spray, wind, and moving water. Wet surfaces increase the risk of losing control, while the exposed bridges leave drivers with little protection from severe coastal weather. That contrast is what makes the road unforgettable. Few places allow you to drive so close to the ocean while feeling so completely exposed to it. The Atlantic Ocean Road is proof that a scenic drive can become an entirely different journey when the sea decides to fight back. Passage de Gois, France. Most dangerous roads stay where engineers built them. Passage de Gois can disappear completely. This unusual road crosses tidal flats between the French mainland and the island of Noirmoutier on the Atlantic coast. At low tide, vehicles can travel across what appears to be an ordinary road stretching over the exposed seabed. Then the ocean begins to return. As the tide rises, water gradually covers the pavement until the entire route vanishes beneath the sea. Drivers who misjudge the crossing window can suddenly find themselves surrounded by rapidly rising water with no easy way out. Even after the tide retreats, the danger is not entirely gone. The surface can remain wet, slippery, and coated with seaweed. There are mountain roads where the danger is falling off the edge. Passage de Gois reverses the problem. Here, the road itself is temporary, and the biggest mistake a driver can make is assuming the ocean will wait. Zoji La Pass, India. There are mountain roads that climb high into the Himalayas, and then there is Zoji La, where winter can erase the road almost completely. Rising more than 11,000 feet above sea level between Kashmir and Ladakh, this narrow mountain pass cuts across steep slopes where snow, high winds, and unstable terrain can transform an ordinary drive into a battle with the landscape. In exposed sections, vehicles crawl beside dramatic drops, while trucks squeeze through bends with very little room to spare. Heavy snowfall has historically forced the pass to close for long periods, cutting an important connection to Ladakh until crews can clear the route again. Even in better weather, rockfall, mud, narrow lanes, and rapidly changing mountain conditions demand constant attention. The scenery is spectacular, but Zoji La offers almost no opportunity to relax behind the wheel. Up here, reaching the other side can depend as much on the mountains as on the driver. Skipper's Canyon Road, New Zealand. When rental car restrictions specifically warn you about a road, that should probably tell you something about what lies ahead. Skipper's Canyon Road was carved into the mountains above New Zealand's Shot-Over River, creating a narrow route that seems to balance between solid rock and open air. Much of the road remains rough, exposed, and barely wide enough for vehicles to negotiate comfortably. The real tension begins when two vehicles meet. In some sections, there is simply not enough room to pass, meaning one driver may have to reverse along the cliff until a wider section appears. Add loose gravel, sharp bends, steep drop-offs, and limited barriers, and even a slow journey can become intensely uncomfortable. Today, experienced local drivers take visitors through the canyon for the extraordinary scenery. But from the passenger seat, one detail is impossible to ignore. Sometimes the only thing separating the vehicle from the river far below is careful steering. Karakoram Highway, Pakistan and China. Some roads cross mountains. The Karakoram Highway enters a landscape so enormous that the road itself can seem almost insignificant. Stretching between Pakistan and China through one of the world's highest mountain regions, the highway follows valleys and cliffs beneath enormous peaks, reaching elevations where thin air becomes another challenge for travelers. But altitude is only the beginning. Landslides can send rock across the roadway, floods can damage sections near rivers, and snow or avalanches can disrupt travel higher in the mountains. The route also follows part of the ancient corridor associated with the Silk Road, giving this modern highway a history far older than the pavement beneath today's vehicles. Its construction demanded an enormous human effort in some of the harshest terrain imaginable. That combination is what makes the Karakoram Highway unforgettable. Extraordinary beauty, extraordinary engineering, and a landscape that never completely gives up control. Here, the mountains do not simply surround the road, they constantly threaten to reclaim it. James Dalton Highway, Alaska, USA. The Dalton Highway does not need 1,000-foot cliffs on every corner to frighten drivers. Its greatest weapon is something quieter: isolation. Running hundreds of miles through northern Alaska toward the Arctic oil fields, the highway crosses vast stretches of wilderness where services can be extremely limited, and the weather can change faster than travelers expect. Much of the route is gravel, while enormous trucks use the highway as a working transportation corridor. Their tires can throw rocks toward windshields. Clouds of dust can briefly destroy visibility, and winter conditions can turn the surface into ice. Wildlife may also wander onto the roadway with little warning, forcing decisions that become even more dangerous on a slippery surface. Then there is the cold. When something goes wrong this far from ordinary civilization, a simple mechanical problem can become much more serious. The Dalton Highway proves that a road does not need to look impossible to be terrifying. Sometimes the danger comes from realizing how completely alone you are. Kolyma Highway, Russia. Few roads carry a nickname as haunting as the Road of Bones. The Kolyma Highway stretches across the Russian Far East through a subarctic region famous for extreme cold, enormous distances, and settlements separated by vast wilderness. But its reputation comes from more than the climate. The road's origins are tied to the Soviet Gulag system. Beginning in the 1930s, prisoners were forced to build routes through this brutal landscape under terrible conditions, leaving the highway permanently connected to one of the darkest chapters in the region's history. Modern travelers face a different struggle. Long gravel sections, freezing temperatures, remote terrain, and limited support can turn breakdowns into serious problems. Even though today's route has been improved and realigned in places, the sense of isolation remains enormous. Many dangerous roads threaten you with a cliff. The Kolyma Highway feels different. Here, the landscape, the cold, and the history all seem to travel beside you. Pamir Highway, Tajikistan. If isolation had a highway, it might look something like the Pamir Highway. The road crosses the mountains and high plateaus of Tajikistan, pushing travelers into a landscape of barren valleys, enormous peaks, turquoise lakes, and settlements that can be separated by hundreds of miles of open country. Beyond Horog, sections of the journey rise above 13,000 feet, where thin air, severe weather, rough surfaces, and limited infrastructure turn distance into a serious challenge. Some routes follow the Pangi River through narrow valleys, with Afghanistan visible across the water, while farther east, the highway climbs toward the stark plateau around Murghab. That emptiness is precisely what attracts adventurous travelers. But it also means mistakes carry a different weight. A damaged tire, mechanical failure, or sudden storm can leave you far from immediate assistance. The Pamir Highway is not terrifying because every corner hides a fatal drop. It is terrifying because the road keeps going long after the familiar world has disappeared. Guoliang Tunnel Road, China. Imagine living in a mountain village where reaching the outside world meant following a dangerous path along a sheer cliff. The residents of Guoliang decided they had endured enough. In the 1970s, a small group of villagers began carving a tunnel directly through China's Taihang Mountains, using basic tools and enormous determination. Years later, the result was the Guoliang Tunnel, a narrow road pierced by rough openings that look straight out over the valley. Those openings provide spectacular views, but they also reveal exactly how little mountain separates drivers from the cliff outside. The tunnel is narrow, dim in places, and filled with sharp bends where approaching traffic can suddenly appear. What makes Guoliang extraordinary is not simply where the road is located, but how it came into existence. It was created because isolation left villagers with few alternatives. Today, tourists travel here to admire an engineering achievement born from necessity and a road that still seems almost impossible. Bartang Valley Road, Tajikistan. Some roads feel remote. The route through Tajikistan's Bartang Valley feels as though the rest of the world has simply disappeared. Deep in the Pamir Mountains, rough tracks follow the Bartang River through a landscape of barren peaks, narrow valleys, isolated settlements, and enormous walls of rock. In places, the road squeezes between the river and the mountains with very little space to spare. That isolation changes everything. Loose surfaces, river crossings, damaged sections, and sudden changes in weather can turn slow progress into a serious challenge. There are few opportunities for quick assistance, and a mechanical problem far inside the valley can become far more important than it would on an ordinary highway. Yet people continue traveling here precisely because it feels so untouched. The Bartang Valley does not frighten drivers with one famous corner or one gigantic cliff. Its power comes from something more unsettling. The realization that the farther you continue, the farther civilization seems to fall behind. North Yungas Road, Bolivia. There are dangerous roads, and then there is a road whose nickname tells you almost everything you need to know: the Death Road. North Yungas Road winds through the mountains outside La Paz, Bolivia, where a narrow strip of pavement and dirt clings to cliffs high above the rainforest. In places, there is barely enough room for one vehicle, while the outer edge disappears into drops reaching thousands of feet below. But the cliff is only part of the problem. Thick fog can erase visibility within seconds. Tropical rain turns the surface slippery, and landslides or falling rocks can appear without warning. For decades, crosses and memorials along the route have marked places where travelers never made it through. Today, cyclists still come from around the world to challenge it. The scenery is extraordinary, but one glance in the wrong direction is enough to remind you why this road earned its terrifying name. Killar to Pangi Road, India. If you saw this road from a distance, you might assume it was a narrow hiking trail carved into a cliff. Somehow, vehicles actually drive on it. The Killar to Pangi route cuts through the remote mountains of northern India, following sections where the road appears almost attached to a vertical rock wall. On one side is solid stone, on the other is open space and a massive drop toward the valley below. There are stretches with no guardrails, little room to maneuver, and enough loose rock to make every corner unpredictable. Waterfalls can spill directly across the roadway, while rockfalls, mud, and changing mountain weather make conditions even worse. Meeting another vehicle can become a problem of inches rather than feet. Someone may have to reverse until the road becomes wide enough to pass. This is not simply a road through the mountains. In some sections, it looks like a road the mountains never intended humans to build. Sichuan to Tibet Highway, China. The Sichuan-Tibet Highway is the kind of road that can take you from green valleys to snow-covered mountain passes within a single enormous journey. Running west from Sichuan toward Tibet, the famous G318 route crosses some of China's most dramatic terrain, including deep valleys, major rivers, forests, high plateaus, and repeated mountain passes above 4,000 meters. It has become one of China's best-known scenic driving routes. But beauty does not make the road easy. Mountain sections remain vulnerable to heavy rain, falling rocks, mudslides, landslides, snow, and rapidly changing weather. Authorities have specifically warned self-driving travelers to pay close attention to conditions in dangerous sections and avoid unnecessary risks during bad weather. That contrast defines the journey. One moment you are staring at scenery worthy of a postcard. The next, the mountain reminds you that every road across this landscape exists only because humans keep fighting to maintain it. Stelvio Pass, Italy. If a road could be designed purely to test how many times a driver is willing to turn the steering wheel, Stelvio Pass might be the result. High in the Italian Alps, the pass climbs to roughly 2,758 meters and is famous for an extraordinary collection of hairpin bends. The eastern approach alone contains 48 sharp turns, while the full road includes dozens more as it climbs and descends through the mountains. From above, those switchbacks look beautifully organized. Behind the wheel, however, they arrive one after another, with almost no time to forget the previous turn. Cyclists, motorcycles, cars, steep gradients, changing alpine weather, and tight corners all demand attention. Snow also controls when the pass can be used, with seasonal closures common outside the warmer months. Stelvio is famous because the road looks spectacular, but after dozens of hairpins, the view that stays with many drivers may be the endless series of turns still waiting above. Trollstigen, Norway. Norway has no shortage of dramatic roads, but few announce themselves as spectacularly as Trollstigen, the legendary Troll's Ladder. The road climbs a steep mountainside through 11 hairpin bends, surrounded by rugged peaks and powerful waterfalls. parts of the route are narrow enough that vehicle size is restricted, while the twisting climb gives drivers repeated views down toward the valley they have just escaped. Weather adds another layer of uncertainty. Trollstigen normally closes during winter, and mountain conditions or rockfall risk can force additional restrictions. After protection work following previous closures, the route returned to normal seasonal operation in 2026, though conditions can still cause temporary shutdowns. Yet millions of photographs make it obvious why people keep coming. Trollstigen is an engineering masterpiece wrapped inside a landscape that looks determined to overwhelm it. And from the upper viewpoints, the road below seems almost too twisted to be real. Lacets de Montvernier, France. At first, Lacets de Montvernier does not look like a road designed to reach the top of a mountain. It looks like someone folded the pavement back and forth until there was nowhere left to go. Clinging to a steep mountainside in the French Alps, this remarkable stretch is famous for 18 extremely tight bends compressed into a compact climb. The switchbacks sit so close together that aerial footage makes the road resemble a giant staircase built for vehicles. Unlike some of the rough dirt roads earlier in this journey, the surface itself is not the main threat. The challenge comes from tight geometry, limited space, constant turning, cyclists, and the steep terrain surrounding the roadway. That makes Montvernier a perfect example of how danger does not always require broken pavement or enormous potholes. Sometimes, engineering itself creates the spectacle. From the valley, the road seems almost vertical, and once you begin climbing those tightly packed bends, every turn reveals just how little mountainside the builders had to work with. Transfăgărășan Highway, Romania. From the valley below, Romania's Transfăgărășan Highway looks like a giant piece of asphalt thrown across the Carpathian Mountains. Built during the communist era as a strategic route through the mountains, the highway climbs toward an elevation of more than 6,000 feet, passing steep slopes, tunnels, viaducts, and a spectacular sequence of sweeping curves. Near Balia Lake, the road twists so dramatically that aerial footage makes it look almost unreal. comes with unpredictable conditions. Fog can hide the next turn. Heavy rain reduces visibility, and snow controls access during colder months. Sharp elevation changes also mean the weather at the summit can be completely different from the valleys below. Today, drivers come here for one of Europe's most famous road trips, yet the same curves that make Transfăgărășan beautiful also demand constant concentration. On this road, looking at the scenery for too long can become a mistake of its own. Bealach-na-Bar, Scotland. Scotland's Bealach-na-Bar proves that a road does not need Himalayan altitude to make drivers grip the steering wheel. Crossing the Applecross Peninsula in the Scottish Highlands, this historic single-track road climbs sharply through a remote landscape of mountains and open valleys. Its name means Pass of the Cattle, a reminder that the route existed long before modern vehicles began attempting the journey. The road is narrow, steep, and filled with tight bends, including switchbacks near the upper section. Passing places provide occasional relief, but meeting another vehicle at the wrong moment can still force one driver to reverse. Then there is the weather. Fog, rain, strong winds, and winter conditions can quickly transform the scenery. On a clear day, the views across the highlands are magnificent, but Bealach-na-Bar has a way of making even experienced drivers slow down. Here, patience is not simply good manners, it is part of getting across the mountains safely. Dades Gorge Road, Morocco. There is one section of Morocco's Dades Gorge Road that looks as though the mountain itself has been wrapped in asphalt. Deep in the Atlas Mountains, the road passes dramatic red rock canyons, traditional villages, and barren slopes before reaching a famous series of tightly stacked switchbacks near the gorge. Seen from above, the curves form an almost perfect zigzag pattern climbing the mountainside. The scenery may be beautiful, but the drive demands attention. Tight corners reduce visibility. Steep drops appear beyond the road, and larger vehicles can occupy more space than expected on narrow sections. Rain can also create additional hazards in the canyon, where runoff and debris may affect the route. What makes Dades Gorge unforgettable is the contrast between scale and precision. The mountains are enormous, yet the road survives by using every available inch of terrain. Sani Pass, South Africa/Lesotho. Before reaching the mountain kingdom of Lesotho, travelers approaching Sani Pass must first climb one of southern Africa's most dramatic mountain roads. The route rises through the Drakensberg along a rough series of gravel switchbacks, climbing rapidly toward the high plateau above. In the steepest sections, the road folds back on itself again and again, while the valley drops farther beneath the vehicle. Loose gravel can reduce traction, rain can turn sections muddy, and mist may hide the bends ahead. During cold conditions, snow and ice create an entirely different challenge. Four-wheel drive vehicles have traditionally been associated with this route for good reason. But the danger is matched by extraordinary scenery. With every turn, the landscape opens wider until the mountains seem to stretch endlessly across the horizon. Sani Pass is more than a border crossing. It feels like a physical climb out of one country and into another world, one switchback at a time. Moki Dugway, Utah, USA. At first, Utah's Moki Dugway looks like a road that simply drives toward a cliff. Then you notice the switchbacks carved directly into it. Built into the face of Cedar Mesa, this gravel section of State Route 261 climbs roughly 1,200 feet in only a few miles. The road zigzags sharply upward, giving drivers increasingly dramatic views across the desert landscape below. There are no endless snowstorms or tropical landslides here. Instead, the challenge comes from loose gravel, steep grades, tight turns, exposed edges, and the intimidating scale of the canyon country surrounding the road. Large vehicles require extra caution, while drivers unfamiliar with unpaved mountain roads may find the descent even more uncomfortable than the climb. From the bottom, Moki Dugway appears almost impossible. From the top, the road becomes a thin line scratched into the cliff far below. And suddenly, every switchback you just crossed looks much smaller than it felt behind the wheel. Himalaya Stone Road, Turkey. Some mountain roads were built with modern machinery. Turkey's Himalaya Stone Road feels more like a tunnel system carved out by determination. Running through the dramatic Kemali region in eastern Turkey, the route includes a remarkable series of rough tunnels cut through solid rock above the Euphrates River and deep canyon scenery. For decades, local people worked to create a connection through terrain that offered almost no easy path. That history is still visible today. Some tunnels are narrow and dark, while openings in the rock suddenly reveal steep drops and the river far below. Tight passages, cliffside sections, and limited space make the journey feel very different from an ordinary highway. The road is not famous because it is fast or comfortable. It is famous because building it seems almost unreasonable when you look at the landscape. Driving through Kemali means repeatedly entering darkness, emerging beside a canyon, and wondering how anyone decided this was the best place to build a road. Taroko Gorge Road, Taiwan. Some highways are built beside mountains. In Taroko Gorge, sections of the road appear to have been carved directly into the mountain itself. The route twists through a spectacular marble gorge in eastern Taiwan, passing tunnels and narrow cliff sections above the Liwu River. In places, the canyon walls rise so closely that only a thin strip of sky remains visible overhead. Taiwan's tourism authorities describe the highway around the tunnel of 9 turns as following the gorge through an almost endless sequence of curves cut into the cliff face. Historically, rockfalls, heavy rain, landslides, earthquakes, and typhoons have made this landscape extremely difficult to manage. The dramatic 2024 earthquake also caused major damage across Taroko, and as of August 2026, several park recreation areas and trails remain closed. The gorge is breathtaking because nature carved it so aggressively. That is also exactly why traveling through it can never be treated like an ordinary drive.